Good morning. It is a Wednesday, and we're getting all the buttons going and saying a happy good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning for the most part. We'll say for the most part. Hello, everybody. I'm Valerie Shepard. I am the founder and CEO of the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. And I'm here with you. Good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm here with you for the Wednesday Hump Day Happy Chat. It's good to be back. I took a hiatus. Some of it was unplanned. Some of it on my calendar, it was very clear that I was going to go live. And then situations happened. Life does what life does. What is that exactly? It happens. And I had to tend to things. Did you miss me? I missed you. Anyway, we're back. And it's an interesting time. And so today I like to kind of listen for topics that feel like they want to be breathed into. Some of my students or coaching clients or mentees, every now and then we'll have a conversation and it'll spark something that'll come into the happy chat as a subject. And today it's just life. I was having a conversation the other day with a colleague who is a transformational teacher who works with young people, and we were talking about the news and like how to hold center when there's so much going on that even you might reject. Some of it, I just look at it and wow. And one of the things that is really prominent right now is grief. And so the Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, we're all about helping you master you in your life so that you can exquisitely manage. And I love that word, exquisitely. It's just one of my favorite words. So exquisitely, meaning powerfully and beautifully and wholeheartedly and joyfully and in whatever way uplifts you. It helps you, blossom into the fullness of your highest potential, exquisitely manage whatever life brings your way. And notice when I talk about happy, if you've got my book, if you've heard any of my teachings, if you've seen me speak, it's living happy to be me is not a Pollyanna state of everything's fine all the time. I don't even believe that is possible. So that's certainly not what I teach, not what I write about, not the way I conduct my own life. But the self-awareness, the self-acceptance, the self-love inside this concept of living happy to be me, M-E, not me, ego, me, M-E, capital M-E stands for magnificent essence. That's me as the spiritual self, not just the human self, the collaborative, coexisting human inside the magnificence, the brilliance of the spirit being that I also always am. And so just like there's this dual, one inside the other, one inside the other, one inside the other experience of the self, right? The self. There are also the experiences of emotions inside emotions. And so I just want to talk today for a little bit about this idea of grieving and the question for today's happy chat. Can grieving and happiness coexist? Many people talk about them as linear. When the grieving stops, then the happiness can start again. And the question that I'm asking is, are they one in the other? Can they be at the same moment? And so talking about that would be really interesting. I mean, right now we're at a place where there is a lot of grieving across the world. This is a moment in time where people are grieving, even if you aren't a big hoops fan. I am a hoops fan. Um, Grieving the loss, a tragic loss of Kobe Bryant, whose helicopter crashed this past weekend. And I remember being with a different colleague and friend, having brunch. We get together and do a walk and talk and support one another and laugh and have brunch. And she got a message on her phone. She went to get some more coffee and she got a message on her phone. And that's the first we learned of this tragedy. And it's just continued to unfold. And the tragedy of his loss, the grieving of the people who lost others alongside him in that helicopter crash, very prominent. Then when you look all across the world, there are tragedies happening. This thing unfolding in China with thousands now in the space of concern and dying, and people in all different parts of the world that may not even make the news. There's this tragic unfolding that's leading to grief, all kinds of grief. And importantly, tragedies aren't the only things that can cause grief. Obviously, that I guess goes without saying. Nonetheless, life stages, any kinds of changes where things are happening and things are coming to an end, endings, losses, kids going off to college, changing jobs, especially if it wasn't a change that you wanted to make. But even when we decide, I'm moving, I'm leaving, there is still a sense of grieving. What I call in the any day, everyday situational dynamics of life. Any day and everyday situational dynamics of life can bring up the sense of loss that is so humongous that grieving happens. I mean, my brain hemorrhage happened 4.5 years ago, and I'm still aware of a deep sense of loss that has me still grieving. And it unfolds in little pieces. Grieving two different things, right? Grieving the loss of what was, right? What I could do. I used to be able to, one of my favorite things is dancing. And I dance today, it's just not the same. And so I feel diminished in my ability to express the joy, the love, the light, the divine that was a part of the way I danced. And I don't do it that way anymore. I don't say can't completely. I'm still holding out the possibility, and I'm still working toward the possibility of the potentiality, the full potentiality of 100% healing. And within me, there is still this sense of it's just not the same. At best, I struggle to do some things, and at worst, I just won't ever do those things again. I have a big pile of my used to be favorite heels that I'm finally, after 4.5 years, I have finally put them on a pile to give to charity or to clothing drives for students or something like that. That took a lot of deep breathing. I even put some of them on and tried to walk around my house. Very funny. Letting go. The loss of what was. And I think even, I don't know this for a fact with data, but I think even the loss of the possibility of what could have been. I remember feeling that when my father died. When he transitioned off the planet, boy, I was angry at him. Like, why did you leave so soon? And I was in my 40s, right? But I was the little girl wanting daddy to be around for some things that the little girl's life is still unfolding for her. And I realized what it was, the potentiality was gone. I carry my father with me everywhere. I talk about him. I talk to him. Same with my dog, Maggie, transitioned in 2008. She's pictures are everywhere. And there's one right over there. I've got them all over. And I talk to her like she's still here. And isn't that interesting? So I wanted to talk about this whole idea about grief, that it doesn't have a timeline and it's not linear and it doesn't have a one size fits all stamp of this is what grief is. And there are times when we even look back and go, oh, I've had this experience. I look back and I go, wow, I was grieving. And it's inside where I am right now, that I can make grieving okay. Like if it's 4.5 years in and I'm still grieving in different ways, I feel like I have the hiccups, in different ways, I just love making that okay, right? There's no right or wrong way to grieve. So people are saying, wow, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I don't know Kobe Bryant and I'm not even a basketball fan. And I want to give you permission that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're feeling a deep sense of loss for others, a deep sense of loss for his family, for the world, for whatever, it's okay to be in the space of, I feel like I'm grieving. I'm making peace with letting something go. That's the way I like to think of it. I'm coming into a peaceful alignment with letting something go, with letting something no longer be, letting something no longer be, whether it's be in my experience or be on the planet or be a possibility or be the truth that I'm experiencing at this moment. I'm coming into an alignment with letting something go, grieving. So what do we do when we're in this space? And I talk at the top of the conversation about, can grieving and happiness coexist? So there are two things that I believe are in the centerpiece of allowing this unfoldment of our hearts, this deepening. Like, to me, grieving gives us an opportunity to go deeper into our hearts, to actually stare down that which is potentially pulling us into a place we don't want to be and certainly don't want to stay for too long. So I've quoted this book before. John Kabat-Zinn is a mindfulness expert, and I've taught from this book before, Mindfulness for Beginners. And whenever I get into spaces where I'm like, I'd really like to talk about something, I like to go back to my favorite books and see what others have said on this, because I don't, as much as anyone can be an expert on a topic, there are many experts on the topics. And one of the things that John Kabat-Zinn talks about and others talk about and I talk about in the concept of mindfulness is this concept of acceptance. And he talks about it as one of his attitudinal foundations for mindfulness, acceptance. And he says acceptance has nothing to do with passive resignation. Far from it. If things are going to hell in a handbasket, being aware that that's what's happening can set us up for what's got to happen next. But acceptance sets us up for asking the question, what needs to happen next? What's really calling forth to me in this moment? What needs to happen next? And how does our life become a meditative practice around this concept? So acceptance and allowing are critical to this happiness inside grief. Acceptance, I accept that where I am is where I am. And I accept that in any given moment of the sadness, just like a dandelion will find its way to poke through a concrete sidewalk. Isn't that amazing when you see a flowering plant, weed or whatever you want to call it, poking its way through a crack in the concrete. A smile can poke through in the way of immense sadness. I used to be amazed at when I was sad, how my beautiful dog being would come and put her head in my lap and look up at me, and it would just make me laugh. Happiness inside grief. And what I believe is that it was there and just needed to be triggered. And my beautiful Maggie May was the trigger for me to remember all is not lost. Loss is here. All is not lost. To let me go, oh yeah, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm going on. I'm coming into alignment with that which is no more. And part of the alignment is realizing that which still is, that which continues on. The memory, the feeling, the deep love. The deep love. And what I've loved about this ongoing, unfolding relationship with my crossed over father and my crossed over dog are that it feels like the relationship has continued to evolve. They're just in a different state of being, a different way of experiencing their presence in my life. When the tears come, let them. Accept that the way you are experiencing what is happening is triggering tears. And they're perfectly beautiful, necessary. And when the laughter comes, accept and allow that too. It's not a betrayal of the grief. It's not telling the loss it no longer matters. It's allowing the two to coexist. But there can be laughter in the midst of coming into alignment with this shift in your what is. The last piece is the second part of it, what I call feeling without becoming, right? So sometimes we are our emotions. In other words, we are the angry person. We don't just feel the anger, we become an angry being. We walk around in huff and stuff. And I'll say I walk around in the huff and stuff, the and I speak with force, and I'm like, how could you possibly? Like I've got my, as Sarah Blondin talks about in her meditation on the warring self versus the infinite self. We are terse, and we have quick clips to the way we speak, and we feel ourselves rising up, like we are becoming what we're feeling. This allowing of grief and happiness to coexist is saying there is a three-dimensional component in this space of life at all times. That feelings come together, not necessarily sequential, but maybe even like at the same moment. I'm laughing at what I remember while I'm grieving that I won't exactly have it that way anymore. So in the midst of loss and the feelings of deep sadness and fear and overwhelm and helplessness and fatigue, the call is to feel those without becoming only those, and without blocking out the other feelings that have an opportunity to be present. So when the joy comes, allow it. When the laughter comes, revel in it. Even if it's only for a moment, for a momentary space. Enjoy, like practice the opportunity to enjoy your current life exactly the way it is and still feel okay at loving that life that you used to have that may be lost to you in the present moment. So that's just a little bit. There's probably mountains more that can go into the space of serving you in this question of um, can grief and happiness coexist? I was looking for, I thought that I had bookmarked another thing that I wanted to share, and I'm not finding it right now, so I'm going to allow that to be. Feel a little bit of grief right this moment that there was something else that I'm uh, not able to connect with, and recognizing that I can allow it to just, perfect example of what I was just talking about, and noticing that we can grieve really tiny little things. A forgotten desire. Yay, that's it for today's Hump Day Happy Chat. It's so wonderful to be here with you. Thank you for joining. Please do what you can to share light wherever light's needed. And if that means that for you, you feel it resonates to share this channel and share the chats, thank you for doing so. There's somebody out there who needs what we're offering right now. And I appreciate you helping me get to them because I don't know where they all are. So your sharing makes that possible. If you have questions and comments, post those and I'll do my best to get back to you with answers, maybe in a future happy chat or maybe just typing into your comment. And so right now I'll just close with one of my favorite prayers, the prayer for loving kindness from the Buddha. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. Yay. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. The true nature of you is wanting to be expressed. May you awaken to it. And may all beings be free. Yay. All beings, that includes you, that includes me. Stay well and be happy, my people. Bye now.